And welcome back. I haven't done one of these things in about, I don't know, let's see, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 7 months. The end of last summer into the fall, when I ended up being hospitalized for what I thought would be a simple kidney stone removal, but turned out to be much more complicated than that. So it's March 8th, the day we set the clocks ahead, and you can see I have tomato plants outside. I'm in a Pennsylvania northern climate, and in the greenhouse, it's hard to tell there, but it's almost 90 degrees in the greenhouse. Of course, at night, according to the weather forecast, it's supposed to only get down to the 40s, 45 for the next several days. And I'm just, in the daytime, it's supposed to be in the high 50s to 60. But in the greenhouse, if it's 50 outside, it'll be, 80 in here. I have an exhaust fan to keep it reasonable. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed because these plants that I put in, had to take out from my inside of my house, there was just no more room for them. There was a closet off of my kitchen porch, which is an enclosed porch, but it's not really insulated. And I turned it into a grow room with grow lights. I'll have to do another video. I think I may have done a video on that. If you go to my Instagram channel, it's Rockflux. I think it's under Rockflux. I'm a little bit out of it today. I've got a toothache. I just put in some of that Oragel 4 times super stuff and took 2 Tylenol. I worked out. This video that I'm showing you right now was shot today, about literally an hour ago. So it's, I'm doing this in almost real time. But back to what I was saying. So I went into the hospital. I was supposed to have this kidney operation because I had this big kidney stone, and they were afraid that it was too big to pass the normal way. Well, anyway, one thing led to another, and it turned into I had 7 different procedures. So I spent my entire fall in and out of the hospital, to where I got to know the nurses in the hospital, more than anyone else. Well, anyway, so after that was all over, and I was going to the urologist that handles that to have this temporary stent removed that they had to put in there to remove this big stone, so to speak. After he does that successfully in his office, he comes back in and hands me a piece of paper that shows that I've got prostate cancer. And if you know anything about it, my Gleason score was like 8, like 4/4 or something like that. Ridiculous. So I had to go in, and that was in November, right before Thanksgiving. I got that news. So then I had to go and get an MRI to confirm it, see what it was in December, and then that was confirmed. And in January I had what's called a radical prostatectomy, I guess. And they removed my prostate and hopefully removed the cancer. I won't know. I have an appointment, follow-up appointment in about 3 weeks, where they do the blood test to see if I'm cancer free. But back to these tomato plants. If you're unfamiliar with my vlogs, I go back and forth from talking about myself to issues of the day to, of course, gardening. These were grown from seeds indoors. That's a kale plant on the left, by the way, obviously, for you people who know gardening. But I had to move them out of here because the closet isn't much bigger than this greenhouse, and they were just getting crazy. They look a little droopy because I had to bring them outside, but I'm hoping that they'll recover and be able to stand some of the cooler nights when it drops down into the 40s. I mean, it's possible this time of year in my climate zone that we could get another snow and a frost, but I think this little mini greenhouse that I built myself should protect the plants from the frost. So just keeping my fingers crossed. It's an experiment. I've got plenty of seeds. If they survive, it'll be great. I had no choice, put it that way. I apologize for the click there. That's my fan that's controlled by a little mini solar panel on the top. That when it gets too hot in there. This summer, and I'll do it on a video, I'm going to install a much bigger fan, because in the summertime, I don't mind that thing's going to get warm right now, March and April, but in the summertime, it'll get it to be 110 degrees in there. So this plastic that you see on the side here, because I have that harder corrugated stuff on the roof and the front and side, I'll use this area where I'll install basically a bigger fan and a bigger solar panel. Those are my clippers of choice that I use for pruning. This is what I worked on today. These two garden beds were originally the first two beds I created, and I've just got them covered with cardboard since I weeded out. I had all kinds of roots in there from wild spearmint, and I mean, I don't hope I got most of it out. I can't say I got it all out, but I'm going to keep that covered. I won't be planting my summer crops in these areas. Here's where I usually put tomatoes and peppers and things like that. I won't be planting those for at least another month and a half, I don't think. Maybe not till May 1st. But and hopefully it doesn't get too windy. I got to get some more things to weigh that down. But back to the health issues. So yeah, I guess in about 3 weeks, which I'll probably do another video by then, I'll know if by taking out this prostate deal, I will be cancer free. I mean, that's a pretty freaky thing to happen. I have a beat poetry track at rockflux.com called My Last Girlfriend. If you want to check that out after the video, there's a link to it. You can listen to it free on YouTube, or if you have Spotify, it's on Spotify. But yeah, that was freaky. So on this side, to the left, is my newest bed, which I'll be doing most of my earlier gardening in. I'll probably be putting lettuce, chard, in this thing on the far left hand side, and I should be turning around at some point and let you see that, but I'm already forgot exactly the order of this video, so forgive me for that. That glass cover, that's just an old storm window covering that bed there that we're focusing in on now. There seems to be some left. I had kale, big giant, if you followed me, I had a giant kale bush there, almost like a tree. But in the corner was some oregano, and it seems like it survived the winter. So I'm going to probably split that in half and have that half oregano and half something else, another spice. Or I might even go 4 and just do 4 different spices in there. You know, oregano, cilantro, parsley, and something like along those lines. I'm not sure yet. But these old, this is a neat idea. If you have an old storm window where you just could pick one up somewhere, you just make sure your box matches it. I have this cracked open with wood there, so not so much to give it air. In the summertime I would be giving it air, but that the oregano would have been touching the glass, so I just raised it up. And the next couple days it's going, like I say, that should protect it from frost. And as you can see, the dark dirt, I've pretty much spent a lot of time weeding the past 2 days because I was down for the count this past fall. I mean, stuff just hits you, and that just knocked me for a loop. I was totally blindsided. So this is the main bed that I'll probably be adding a lot more soil to this one. That's just a part of an old, pallet crate that I use to walk in the middle of it. And under that I have cardboard to keep the weeds. Again, these cardboard, these Chewy boxes and Amazon boxes come in handy for this kind of thing. And it's just to keep the weed growth down and hopefully kill anything that's done there. I won't be planting in this area here either for at least a month and a half or so. So I'm hoping that will be enough. Though that little open spot with the little white things sticking up beside of it, I threw a few lettuce seeds in there just for the hell of it. Because this time of year you can germinate lettuce. It's just a little bit slower. But you can see I made this a lot taller, so I'll be adding some more wood to the backside, and I'm not going to go all the way up to the top of that wood, but I'm probably going to go up at least part way into the second board. You see, so this will, because I want this to be a real hardy raised bed. Anyway, that's the plan. And as you can see, I'm filming this with an iPhone at the slow-mo setting. It's an older iPhone. As my other beat poetry track, which I may put at the end of this or I may not. You can also listen to that on at rockflux.com. It's available on Spotify for free, and like I say, I put them on YouTube too, and anywhere, Apple Music. That one's called, what is that one called? It's about breaking my iPhone. Let me just check check the name of this. I say I'm a little bit spaced out today. I don't know why. It's not that. Bear with me. My vlogs are always interesting. It's called Virtual Cage. Check that out. You see that thing, that plastic thing right in the foreground? That's like if you're a cat person, or if you buy anything that comes in like a plastic container and you don't want to throw away the plastic. If you take like a blade and cut around the plastic thing, because there's a handle, you can't see it from this angle, because there's a handle usually on those litter things, right? So it's a very nice garden tool for just shoveling dirt, putting weeds in it, transporting things. I noticed even, I think I've seen a couple of the homesteader guys who have chickens and stuff. They even use them to like put, feed, just scoop up chicken feed and things like that. So if you're a person that doesn't want to throw away plastic into the dump, there's a lot of good uses for them. I've used them for these things for all kinds of things, recycling them. I even had an old lamp thing that broke that's in my workshop garage, which that's the entranceway to it, that I fabricated into a lamp cover. The glass broke. It was a glass lamp, so then I used the plastic to make it a lampshade. It was pretty neat. And of course there's a shovel and a rake. And there's my chair, my lounge chair, where I spend most of the time in the summer just soaking up the sun after a hard day's work in the garden. This pole in the foreground I can connect an umbrella to that if I feel like just hanging out in the rain or something. If somebody was visiting and they didn't want that much sun. It gets hot back here. I basically have a suntan from April through October, because, well, I love the sun, and besides, the benefits of the sun are amazing. And those UV rays kill viruses, which, speaking of this insanity going on right now with this coronavirus, people don't realize that the coronavirus is a name that has been around for a long time. It's a kind of virus. And if you're one of these people that buys like Lysol disinfecting wipes, or even a generic brand name, look on the back of it and you'll see that those wipes kill the human coronavirus. And I'm talking about things made years ago. Also spray Lysol, or there's an insect I didn't realize was there. Must have just woken up with the heat. I'm seeing some jumping here a little bit with the camera. Hopefully that's not going to be in the final outcome. But be that as it may. This mess next to the greenhouse, mini greenhouse, was also an out of control area where the oregano turned into like this crazy wild bush. And these are, I guess, little onion plants that I never really separated. They survived the winter, but they're, I don't know if it's too late to try to separate them this year or not. And now we're getting a look again back at the area that I cleaned this morning and just put some cardboard down so that we don't get growth with this sunny weather that's predicted for the next several days. Actually, might be a week or two. Little sculpture there I got from the neighbor next to the frog, and on my little baby solar panel that controls my aerator for the pond that is filled with algae. I really need to like take this thing, that should be there's a little fountain thing in there that's obviously clogged. I really need to like just clean that pond completely out. I'm just avoiding it. It's going to be such a job to do that. The birds, they like to have a drink in it, so I figure, well, I'll leave it for now. That little stick I put in there so they could like hop down and get a drink in the pond. So there is no reason for people to be panicking about this coronavirus. Again, it's March 8th when I'm making this video. The cases in China have already gone down by like 50%. The cases in the US are nominal. I mean, anytime somebody gets sick, you know, deathly ill is something that we should all, you know, have sympathy for. But what the news media is just really not reinforcing is that every year, like last year, I believe it was 20-some thousand people in the United States died from just the common flu, what we call the common flu, which I believe was probably could have been a coronavirus. And so, if 19 people, 50 people, or 100 people die from this thing, as tragic as that may sound, there's no reason to be running to the grocery store and stocking up on toilet paper and food and all these things as if it's the end of the world. And I don't know what the game is being played by the media and the people that are trying to capitalize on this in some way, shape, or form. But use common sense. If you wash your hands, blow your nose, you're gonna be all right. You know, if you're very elderly and weak, your weakened immune system, yeah, you know, every winter, every flu season, you should avoid, you know, crowded places or being around people who are sick, who may be sick with any kind of thing. That's a leftover kale plant from that survived over the winter. I'll probably put another kale plant in there, perhaps. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to put in this bed. I need to add more soil to the right side of that. I had tomatoes and some broccoli in there last year. The broccoli didn't do too well. I got like a couple things off of it, but not really what I wanted. And in that little slightly coming into view is my apple tree that I'm hoping this year has a spurt of growth. I don't really expect to get apples. This will be the third year, but I planted that from a seed in the house. That apple seed with the retaining the four little plastic Dollar Tree. I pay $1 for those things at the Dollar Tree. And the pole to the left is my bird feeder, which, as you can see, I sweeped up the path a lot that goes to my house. But the birds are so darn messy, I've got to move the bird feeder from this pole, which I'll probably just plant some flowers and maybe a hanging flower from this pole, over to where the camera's kind of going to the right, so that I can keep the birds away from that apple tree. And there's another apple tree in that cylindrical thing there, which I'm hoping will be, the two of those will be able to pollinate one another. I have two other ones I planted as well, but they just look like twigs. I didn't really have much luck with them. Upwards that path is my house. So it's not a big yard, but I got enough food, and I've said this before if you've watched these videos, from this area to feed myself for at least 6 months or more. And I've given away so much. I'll plant squash along the sides. Along this fence, there's all sorts of flowers and other kind of things that will be growing. I think I have a grapevine. Someone told me it takes a couple years to get grapes, but it looks like a grapevine. And anyway, I heard that from the grapevine. So I don't like to, belittle people, and I hear these things about a large percentage of people these days are functionally illiterate. We've all heard this talk about a dumbed down society, and what they do with the school systems, and certainly the media and entertainment is reinforcing this type of behavior. I think we're going to come in now for a close-up of what I did plant already. In fact, I was watching one of M.I. Gardner's videos just a few days ago, and where that storm window is, maybe I didn't go in. I shot this video twice. Maybe I didn't go in this time. But anyway, I planted lettuce, beets, and radishes. And I'm going to hold M.I. Gardner to it. He said it's okay to put them out this early. This was a kale plant, as you can see, that's trimmed greatly down. I don't know if it's going to live through and come back to life, but I decided to leave it there, and we'll see what happens. There's some more onions that I guess I don't know what I did wrong there. And behind that is where I had some squash plants, and I may put some squash in there again. I'm not sure. But as you can see, a lot of these beds are broken up into like 2 sections, 4 sections. The idea of the square foot gardening. I mean, obviously these are bigger than a foot, but this next one that we're coming up on was actually the first raised bed that I made besides those other flat ones, and that one has 6 1-foot squares in it. And I've always had luck with that one. So I'm not sure what I'm going to put in it this year, but I look forward to this as my favorite time. From now right through October, even into November, I was eating, I'll plant potatoes, carrots, and things like that, and like I say, various squashes. But I was eating, I think I ate my last squash, which I chopped up a couple of times, in like a soup in January. And potatoes right into November and December. So it's I'm really, there's really only several months. I'm at the point now where it's really only about three or 4 months where I'm really not getting the majority of my food from my backyard. And I'm hoping that as I get a little bit better with this indoor grow light situation, and you could see how crazy those tomato plants, we showed in the beginning are, that I'll be able to grow year round. I mean, that's my goal, is to always have fresh lettuce, kale, tomatoes, peppers, and, whatever I can grow and store, so that, here we go. So I don't know if we'll be able to read my little white little signs on the end. But in here, I planted, yesterday actually, lettuce, beets, and radishes. So I'm hoping this stuff will start coming up in a week or so. 2 weeks probably, this time of year. I just watered it a little bit. Yeah, there you go. You can actually read them. I first last year I just put a ton of lettuce in this one. And then I took those lettuce starts from here and then I transplanted them to a different part of the yard. And I had so much lettuce that I was eating fresh, large salads every day, for several months. And I was giving bags of lettuce away to people. So it's, when this says tiny house, and remember, if you've watched my last video, this is the one, I mean, not a tiny house in the sense of a tiny house, but I mean, it's a small property that I paid less than $20,000 for. My mortgage is around $200 a month, so think about that. So if you've got any ideas of simplifying your life, there are places where you can do it all over this country and live so cheaply that you can basically semi-retire or retire young. But that's about it. So I hadn't done one of these things in a while. I'm feeling good, and I guess the Tylenol, while I was babbling to you, has kicked in, and the Oragel has reduced the tooth pain. I called this dentist to get an appointment, and they said, well, first we have to do a cleaning, and then we'll do an x-ray, and then we'll see if we can get to do it. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't need a teeth cleaning. I don't even need an x-ray. I've had enough x-rays with all the hospitalizations I've had. How about just like taking that little mini mirror thing and that pointy thing, going to the tooth that's bothering me and, jab at it and fill it or pull or yank the darn thing. It's on the side of my mouth. I don't care. I already had a tooth pulled on my other side of my mouth years ago. Never bothered me. I could still chew and eat whatever I want to. So, but that's crazy. So I'm trying to, I guess I have to call the dentist this week and go through that ordeal. They're just trying, I have insurance that covers dental. So I guess they're trying to bilk my insurance company for a teeth cleaning. It's a close-up on that kale. Yeah, I just survived the entire winter. It's amazing. I don't know if I would eat this stuff, but the plant's healthy enough that I'm sure new growth will be coming up in about, within the month. And, maybe I would cook it, but it's been out there and who knows, birds flying over it and what have you. So, anyway, that's that. So don't panic over this coronavirus. Do what I do, eat healthy, wash your hands, blow your nose, disinfect the surfaces, wipe down surfaces with those various disinfecting wipes. Don't wear those stupid masks. They don't protect you. Unless you've got like literally a hazmat suit, you cannot protect yourself from viruses with one of those cheap little, masks, or even those small respirators that are just for people keeping dust out of your nose and mouth for doing drywall. They're not, this whole thing is insane. So, good luck with that. The flu season's almost over. I'll give you an update in probably 2 or 3 weeks when I know what's going on with me. And by then the garden should be reaching the first phase of where I'm getting ready to, where I'll rip up that cardboard and adding more dirt, and I'll talk to you then. Until then, take care, be healthy. Visit my website, rockflux.com. You can see the links on the screen. I also have these t-shirts for sale. Get a shirt. They're cool shirts. I bought every one of them because I wanted to test them, and I've washed them and everything. So they're sturdy, they last long, the colors don't fade. Anyway, until then, cheers. There's my greenhouse. There's my little man cave. That's the garage workshop. Sometime, and that's a back alley back beyond there. So, and my little grill. I know it kind of looks weird, but wait till you see it in another couple months when it's all cleaned up and growing and stuff. It really transforms it. That blue thing, by the way, is gets rainwater, and I use that to water the plants for free. Take care. Talk to you soon.